Okay, the 2026 NBA offseason, it has officially descended into absolute chaos. The league is literally transforming in a matter of days. But to truly understand this flurry of blockbuster trades and record-breaking signings, we've got to start by looking at the biggest, gravity-defying domino of them all, LeBron James. We have a massive web of transactions to untangle today. We're going to look at LeBron's Decision 4.0, weighing the top contenders, the Eastern Conference arms race, the Wild West blockbusters, and finally the final domino. Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, LeBron's Decision 4.0. Right, so the high-stakes reality of this offseason truly kicked off on Tuesday, when LeBron James officially informed the Los Angeles Lakers that he will play elsewhere for the 2026-27 season. Just like that, his incredible 8-season run in Hollywood is over. Now that the Lakers have moved on by filling out their roster, LeBron hits unrestricted free agency. Think about this. He took his talents to South Beach back in 2010, went back to Cleveland in 2014, and headed out to LA in 2018. The gravity of this moment absolutely cannot be overstated. The entire league is holding its breath. Where will the 4-time MVP go? But how do we even begin to evaluate where he goes next? Well, according to NBA insider Shams Charania, the primary mandate for this final chapter is happiness. It's not about the money. He wants to play meaningful basketball, and he wants his family to be happy. This completely shifts our framework for evaluating his potential destinations, because the teams that offer the absolute best basketball fit, yeah, they don't necessarily have the deepest pockets. Section 2, weighing the top contenders. So, with happiness as the ultimate currency, let's look at the top destinations vying for LeBron's signature. We're going to use a pros and cons framework so you can evaluate the options right alongside him. But first, we have to acknowledge the stark financial reality of prioritizing happiness. Last season, LeBron made $48.7 million. Depending on where he goes, taking a pay cut to join a contender could mean accepting a mid-level exception. That drops his salary all the way down to roughly $11.5 million. It is a massive financial sacrifice. But, as we just established, money isn't the driver here. Let's start with the Golden State Warriors, who are considered by a lot of folks to be at the front of the line. The pros are pretty obvious, teaming up with his longtime rivals Steph Curry and Draymond Green. They already won Olympic gold together in Paris under coach Steve Kerr. Plus, LeBron's family is super rooted in Southern California, so a commute to the Bay Area keeps them in the state. Now, what's really interesting about this is the alignment of philosophies. If LeBron is seeking happiness, that pairs perfectly with Steve Kerr's famous system, which is built entirely around the concept of joy. But on the flip side, Draymond Green actually opted out of $27.7 million to create some flexibility for the Warriors, but Golden State still has massive money tied up in Curry, Jimmy Butler III, and the recently re-signed Kristaps Porzingis. This roster is aging, and injuries are a very real concern in a brutal Western Conference. Then, there's the romantic appeal of the Cleveland Cavaliers. The pros? An Akron native homecoming. The narrative vibes of a full-circle retirement tour in Ohio are absolutely off the charts. From a basketball perspective, one NBA executive actually called Cleveland the cleanest fit for LeBron's size and playmaking, especially after the Cavs were swept by the Knicks in the East Finals. The cons, however, are very real. He would have to leave California, and he'd be walking into a locker room filled with totally unfamiliar faces. He hasn't played with Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, Evan Mobley, or Jarrett Allen. Furthermore, Cleveland took a bit of a step back in team chemistry recently, and he'd be playing for Kenny Atkinson, who'd essentially be a rookie head coach when it comes to managing the whole LeBron James experience. Or how about a return to South Beach? The Miami Heat offer a reunion with Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, the architects behind LeBron's most successful title runs. And get this, he'd be joining a front court featuring Bam Adebayo and 2-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo, whom the Heat just acquired in a blockbuster June trade. But are there cons? For sure. Do Giannis and LeBron perfectly mesh? Giannis thrives getting downhill in transition, while LeBron, at 41, prefers to control the pace in the half court. Plus, after taking on Giannis and extending Andrew Wiggins, Miami has severely limited financial flexibility. And we absolutely can't ignore a newly emerged threat, the Philadelphia 76ers. They reached out directly to LeBron after making some massive offseason moves. The pros? You get to play with MVP Joel Embiid and rising star Tyrese Maxey. The cons? Well, Philly can only offer around $6 million because they used part of their exception to sign Dean Wade. Plus, as we're about to see, they just completely shook up their roster, making their chemistry a total unknown, which actually perfectly segues into the madness happening out east. Section 3, Eastern Conference Arms Race. You see, while LeBron takes his time to make a decision, the rest of the NBA is absolutely not waiting around. We are witnessing a massive macro-level shift in power. Just look at this landscape-shifting timeline. On June 22nd, Milwaukee shocked the world by trading Giannis to the Heat. Then, on July 1st, a true stunner, Jaylen Brown traded to the 76ers. And literally that very same day, Mitchell Robinson left the champion Knicks to sign a 3-year deal with the rival Boston Celtics to anchor their frontcourt. The East looks completely unrecognizable compared to just 2 weeks ago. Let's look closer at that July 1st blockbuster swap. The 76ers received Jaylen Brown, who is coming off his best season ever. The Celtics received Paul George, 2 first-round picks, and 2 second-round picks. This trade highlights the shocking deterioration of Brown's relationship with Boston after an entire decade. Boston takes a gamble on the aging Paul George's health while bringing back draft capital, and Philly gets a dynamic two-way star wing to pair with Embiid and Maxey after the Paul George experiment failed to really take off for them. And this brilliantly illustrates the new hierarchy. Despite the Sixers getting Brown and Miami getting Giannis, the odds makers still favor the defending champion New York Knicks at plus 290. But look at how incredibly tight that gap is. The Celtics, the Rising Pistons, the Raptors with Kawhi Leonard, the Cavs, Heat, and Sixers. It's a total bloodbath on paper. Any of these top 7 teams legitimately believes they can win the East. Section 4, Wild West Blockbusters. Okay, so the East is loading up. But what about the Western Conference? Teams out west are scrambling to match this talent influx, leading to their own string of blockbusters. Look no further than the team LeBron just left behind. The Lakers' pivot was basically an act of sheer desperation. Step 1, lose LeBron to free agency. Step 2, watch rival Western Conference teams load up. Step 3, execute a frantic 35-minute flurry of moves that culminated in a massive sign-in trade with the Utah Jazz. The Lakers sent 2 unprotected first-round picks to Utah and gave center Walker Kessler a 4-year, $130 million deal. Why? Because they desperately needed a high-end defensive anchor to roll to the rim for Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. They built an incomplete roster, and now they're just praying Kessler is the missing piece to keep Luka happy. Meanwhile, the West just keeps getting wilder. The point guard talent shifting is unbelievable. The Minnesota Timberwolves traded for LaMelo Ball to pair alongside Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert. And the Portland Trailblazers? They decided to move on from being a top suitor for Jaylen Brown, pivoting instead to acquire Ja Morant, who will now don the #1 jersey in Portland. And the money is flying off the board in rapid-fire fashion for secondary dominoes, too. Norman Powell is heading to the Bulls for $45 million. Tobias Harris embraces a veteran role in San Antonio next to Wembanyama for $31 million. John Collins goes to the Pistons for a whopping $51 million. Kelly Oubre adds shooting to the Pacers for $17 million. And Mo Wagner joins the Nets for $19 million. To put that into perspective, the sheer volume of cash and talent moving around the league right now is just staggering. Section 5, the final domino. Let's move to and see how this builds, bringing all of this chaos right back to where we started. To our protagonist, we've seen superstars swap coasts, we've seen literally hundreds of millions of dollars spent, but this explainer is titled The Domino Effect for a reason. Because despite all of these incredible blockbuster trades, the ultimate fate of the 2026-27 season hinges on one single pending event. The entire NBA is waiting on LeBron's signature. LeBron has instructed his agent, Rich Paul, to canvass the entire league to find the absolute best place for him to compete and be happy. The heavy favorites remain the Warriors at 35%, really banking on the Curry connection. The Cavaliers sit at 25% for the storybook ending. The Heat are at 20%, hoping to form a super frontcourt with Giannis. The Sixers are hanging in at 15% after reaching out post-Jaylen Brown trade. And, even the Denver Nuggets are lurking out there as a dark horse at 5%, hoping to pair him with Nikola Jokic for the greatest passing duo in NBA history. So, what does this all mean? Well, that brings us to the ultimate question as we wrap up today's explainer. When the dust finally settles on this historic offseason, will Decision 4.0 bring LeBron James his coveted 5th ring? Or will it simply bring in the basketball happiness he's seeking in the twilight of his career? We'll all be watching closely to find out. Keep learning out there, and I'll catch you next time.